Ladies and gentlemen, I think you're all aware, in Sitka we have something called Alaska Day. We actually celebrate Alaska Day for the whole doggone state because the rest of them are pikers. And we have a long-term returned Alaskan to speak about Alaskan today, and a long-term Sitka Alaskan to speak about Alaska today. So welcome, please. And I don't know who's come up first, but you will have, first you will have a gentleman who spent his childhood here and has come back, Mr. John Dusty Kidd, to speak about Alaska Day. Dusty, come on up.
I don't have quite enough copies. If somebody wants a copy of this, I'll be sure to get you.
This is just Dad sitting by yourself.
Quality one, right? Sure. Thank you. Thank you. Anybody need one?
I started over here and then
You need one over here?
here was a seat that I had that was something speaking and then you're over here all by yourself. You wanted to use it.
Well, thank you for the invitation to be here, and I'm really, my favorite political term, and this is a voting day, of course, is unindicted co-conspirator. I've just always liked that sound. And I'm Elaine's unindicted co-conspirator. So I'm going to talk a little bit about the Sitka National Historical Park and its centennial year. Alaska Day is part of the event spectrum that we're running from our birthday, March the 23rd, 2010, until the end of our year, which is March the 23rd, 2011. And we set out, about a year and a half ago to plan the centennial year. You may not know it, but Sitka National Historical Park, which we all always refer to here as Totem Park, is the oldest national park in Alaska and one of the oldest in the United States. It was designated a national monument in 1910, but was actually set aside by the federal government in 1890. So we precede a lot of parks that are on the roster of the 391 that the National Park Service manages. And celebrating our 100 years, we're actually 6 years ahead of the National Park Service. It celebrates its centennial in 2016. So we're really proud of that. We're also Alaska's smallest park, 113 acres, of which a good part of that is tide flats. And we are its only urban park, if you can call Sitka an urban area. And when I grew up here, we had about 2,000 people. Now we're a big, sophisticated city with cable TV and all that sort of stuff. But so we do have some distinctive aspects to the park. And we set out to do basically an event every month or every other month through the 12 months of our centennial year. And back in, I think it was October or November, I went along to the Alaska Day Festival Committee meeting and talked to them about the centennial. And several months later, they adopted as the theme, Celebrating Sacred Ground. And you may know the park was originally established to commemorate the battle between the Russian forces on the one hand, which included Alutiiq and Aleut, and the Tlingit Kiksati clan on the other, over who would basically hold sway here in Sitka Sound. And the end result of that battle in 1804 was the Kiksati had run out of powder and ammunition and had to evacuate their fort, which was in the park site today, and move up to the northern part of Baranof and then across Peril Strait to southeastern Chichikov and took up station there, from which they pretty successfully blockaded the Russians who were then established here under Alexander Baranov. So that's why the park exists. We were also asked, because the park had been established as a totem pole park as well, to preserve and protect and enhance an understanding of native art forms. So in the park visitor centers, those like Steve that's out there running frequently, I've seen him many, many times over the last 3 years. You know that there is also the Sitka Cultural Center, which was formerly the Southeast Alaska Indian Cultural Center, is an in-house partner. So we have a lot that goes on, for such a small park, there's a lot. The Russian Bishop's House, which was acquired in 1972, is the other aspect to the park. A park with a staff of about 20 people trying to manage all of this. It can be a real challenge, but we have great partners in the community, which makes that relatively easier. Elaine asked a minute ago if I was going to reference some of the challenges the park has as a staff. And one of those is we want to have a good mixture of people from outside of Sitka and outside of Alaska and people who are native here. But those who come in from the outside, of course, don't have a history in the community, don't really know a lot about our cultural aspects to Sitka. And so those of us who were born and raised here or have lived here a long time do a lot of work to teach them about that. By the same token, they teach us about the National Park Service and other parks and what they do well, and they bring a real nice leavening to the bread. So our park, again, has about 20 people. We have a brand new superintendent, Randy Miller, who I hope will get a chance to come in and talk to Rotary at some point about his plans for the park going forward. And he comes from Glacier Bay National Park and is just a wonderful guy. I think you'll all get a chance to meet him and enjoy him. He's a law enforcement specialist and has worked as chief ranger in a number of parks prior to Glacier Bay. So he'll be along, I hope, at some point later in your year. A little bit about what we've done this year. We set out again to do an event every other month to try to reinforce for the community why we exist and to get people to come out to the park. So those of you who were here, how many of you were able to attend one of the March events? The picnic, the battle ride? We did quite a number of things. So the unveiling of a new centennial robe that Terry Rothkar did at Ravensdale Road. That was our March event. It took 4 days. We had a big tent out in the parking lot. It was quite a festive atmosphere. And then we kind of transitioned to a little bit of a softer event, which was throughout the month of April. We had the photographs of E.W. Merrill on display at our park. And for those of you who know Merrill, he was perhaps Sitka's best known photographer at the turn of the century. From about 1898 until 1929 when he died here, he's the fellow who took all those beautiful black and white photographs that you see in buildings all over Sitka. He was really an extraordinary photographer. So we did a series of exhibitions of his work focused on different themes over a month-long period. And I hope someday we or somebody else will have the wherewithal to do a book specifically dedicated to his photography. It's truly unappreciated. The pictures he took of the potlatch of 1904, without which we would not have a historic record of that famous last potlatch, as it was called in those days. His photographs of scenery around Sitka give us a baseline from which to compare how Sitka has changed over the last 100 years. His portraits were extraordinary. So someday, hopefully, he'll be more celebrated. Perhaps not as well known as he was the first unofficial superintendent of the park. He actually volunteered to be sort of the custodian. He'd climb up on totem poles, which you could do in those days, and chop out the dead wood and stick in another nose or another set of eyes on a totem. He maintained the trails. He actually laid out the park and where the totem poles were to be placed. People like Norm, who grew up here, can remember walking through that park 50, 60 years ago, and it hasn't changed all that much, really. You look at Sitka, and there's probably no other fifth of a square mile of Sitka that has changed less than the national park, so we're pretty proud of that. So that was our April event. In June, we brought a group of Alutiiq students and elders from Kodiak here on a cultural exchange. And it was probably my favorite event of those we've had so far. It was small scale, about 20, 25 people totally involved. But you may know the Alutiiq basically had their civilization and culture almost wiped out during the Russian era from a combined issues of fighting and disease and the elements that they were forced to hunt through Alaska's waters with the Russians. And they lost a lot of their culture. One of the things they lost was a series of what is called the Aleut series of songs and dance. The Alutiiq didn't know those. The Tlingit retained them because they'd learned them from Aleuts who'd been here, who'd either intermarried or died, and kept them. And so we brought the Alutiiq leaders and their young people over, and they learned this series of song and dances from the Tlingit, and then took them back to Kodiak in June. And we have a video that's just been completed. It's about 6.5 minutes long, and if you have interest, I'll make sure you get a chance to view it at some point. It's really a nice film that a local videographer is putting together for us. I'd hoped to bring it along today, but her computer crashed, and so I wasn't able to get a copy of it, but we'll make it available for those of you who are interested, including a television. So that was our June event. We were originally going to raise a centennial totem pole in July, but for weather and other reasons, we couldn't get the carving log here. We delayed that and decided we're going to do it now next March on the 23rd. So to kind of close out our centennial year. And Tommy Joseph, who many of you know is one of the best known carvers in Alaska, is doing the poll, and it will focus on our centennial and the 100-year history of the park. So whatever he comes up with, I'm sure will be extraordinary. In August, we invited people to come in and sit down and talk about the history of Russian America. And when we first started planning this event, which I was responsible for, we reckoned, based on the folks who were working with me, we'd have 50 people, 25 to 30 papers if we were lucky. We had 72 papers and 178 people. We had 7 countries represented, including 20 scholars from Russia, including members of the Russian Academy of Sciences. For those of you who may have read the papers or seen some of the events that were related to that, for example, Dr. Zhivagian from the Russian Center for Forensic Excellence brought along his report on how they determined details of Vitus Bering based on the excavation of his remains out on Bering Island. Among other things, he did not die of scurvy, which is largely presumed. He died of what amounted to congestive heart failure. He had migraines. There were all sorts of interesting things were being presented at the conference. This was a highlight. He reconstructed his likeness from his skull and made a bust, which was presented to the state of Alaska here at St. Michael's Cathedral during the conference. That was one of the many highlights. At the end of it, the scholars uniformly told me that they were basically overwhelmed by Sitka and its hospitality. So they'd never been in a community that embraced visitors like we did. So all of us should feel really proud of that. And then as we move forward in the calendar, in October, we'll be part of the Alaska Day theme, which Elaine will talk about in much greater detail. And then as we move forward into the winter, we'll also have what's called a tana carved and etched. It's a copper plate, and in the Tlingit and the Southeast Alaska Native cultures is another way of expressing a clan identification or stories. And the tana will be carved and etched and then presented back to the park later in the winter. We're not quite sure when that will happen. And then our last event will be the raising of the Centennial Totem Pole. For those of you who've been part of one of these raisings, it is a massive event. It attracts people from all over Southeast Alaska, and it will end officially our centennial year. So what I prepared was just a basic brief of what we've done so far with a few images from it and some of the plans we have going forward. But the most important reason for being here today is to talk about Alaska Day. I can give you a couple of quick anecdotes. As a kid, the most important thing for all of us was to get on the fire truck. And there were, as I remember, there were 2 fire trucks in town. The oldest one is still over there being restored, and none of us wanted to be on that one because it was old and kind of beat up. It was the new one we wanted to be on. Now, if I was a kid today, I'd want to be on the old one. I think the old one's pretty cool. But the fire truck was a big deal. I think we had a grease pole climbing as well. And they took the pole that was down in Totem Square, erected it for this event, covered it with grease, and tacked a $5 bill, which in those days was a huge amount of money, to the top. And age groups got to compete to see who could get up the pole. Yeah, Norm.
Well, I'd make a comment about that. First of all, it was $10.
It was $10.
Secondly was, you never wanted to be first because you needed several people to go up to scrape the grease off.
That's right.
And if you didn't do that, then you didn't stand a chance.
Well, and another thing, I was challenged by the fact that I was born in 1948. Another fellow, born in the Pioneers' Home, actually. Another fellow was born there at the same time, Raymond Williams, Innocent Williams' son, lived right up the street here. And Raymond was the best, a world-class grease pole shittier. I never got a $10 bill in my entire career trying to get up that pole. Raymond just beat all of us. He could go first to get up that pole. So that's what Alaska Day was like, and I remember the, not the color guard, but the marching drill team, the Army drill team. They would throw those M1s across to each other and past each other in a way that I did not think was possible. And when I was with Marines doing some summer training, I tried doing that with an M1 and dropped it, and I had a sergeant all over me for it. So, in any case, that's what the park is doing this year, and we're really looking forward to the next event coming up in about 2 weeks. And I'll turn it over to Elaine, who will talk to you in more detail about that, but thanks for the invitation to be here.
if you had any doubts that October is here, that Alaska Day is fast approaching, that weather outside should have been the clincher. So I am not here in fancy dress or fancy hair, but nonetheless wanted to share something with you about Alaska Day. For some of you, this is a new experience. For some of you, it's an old, long time evolving experience. But Sitka as a community can surely take pride in the way that we commemorate this historic event, the transfer of Russian claim in Alaska to the United States. This event, some historians will assert, changed the history of the world. If you imagine that somebody other than the United States had controlled Alaska during the recent wars of the 1900s, you can perhaps imagine a different scene than the world is today. When Rusty came to an Alaska Day committee meeting early in our planning for this year's festival, he used that phrase, sacred ground, referring to the park employees' attitude toward that plot of ground that they administer. And that resonated with many of us who find Sitka to be filled with sacred sites, very special places. And the Alaska Day Committee then adopted celebrating sacred ground as our sub-theme this year. One of the organizations who cooperates with us, the Right Women of Sitka, a group of women writers in town, began sponsoring a writing contest last year, and they wanted to repeat it this year. And so their flyer, interpreting and soliciting entries, said the contest theme honors the 100th anniversary of the Sitka National Historical Park. We believe this theme includes celebrating, commemorating, or honoring any place that is sacred to you, be it battlefields, cemeteries, parks, the forest, places of worship, fishing or hunting grounds, or any place special to you. I'm very eager to see and to hear what the writers may bring forth this year, calling attention to those various places. We will have opportunity to hear their essays. The elementary and middle school winners will read their entries on Sunday, October 10th, Sunday afternoon at the library. And then on the 13th, during the variety show, we will have the high school and adult winners. And as I say, I'm really looking forward to how they will convey their passion for places in Sitka. You have in front of you on your tables the first version, or the current version, of the schedule of events. Space required that I eliminate some things that were on early in the schedule. And I want to call your attention to the festival's website, which is listed there on the front of the program, the www.alaskadayfestival.org. You can consult that for past histories, photos, various bits of information, as well as the current schedule. I've also, on the first page of the program, noted some of those sacred sites, what I call sacred sites anyhow, our local museums and collections of artifacts, places that interpret the history of this place and its people. I call attention to sales of merchandise that help fund the festival. We have a new design this year in a different color. We've never had this color in the numerous years that we've been doing. I'm sorry, I won't cover your flag. Anyhow, this is one. This is a more generic, with the Alaska Day traditional logo on it. The button has the park featured on it. Linda Treshill will begin selling these items on Friday, and I hope you will find her in the various locations where she's going to be selling those things. Again, the sales do help fund the various activities for which Alaska Day provides funds. Our official greeters get out starting on Saturday, and you'll see them around town in various costumes reminiscent of the 1860s. And as I mentioned, the Sunday the 10th is the S-Day readings by the younger children. Then on Wednesday the 13th, we have the variety show where beards will be judged and bonnets will be judged. I think Dusty and Hank are qualified. Are you growing a beard nowadays? Oh, and anyhow, hope you all will participate. Those of you who have beards, those of you who have bonnets would like to display them, we'd surely be pleased to have you there. We'll hear from the high school and adult winners of the essay contest, and we have some entertainment to go along with all of that. Then on Thursday the 14th, the Historical Society will have their annual meeting, and they're going to be talking about some of those folks in Sitka's history who have crossed this sacred ground. Some of them buried here, perhaps, others perhaps not. Anyhow, if you've not heard some of the stories of Sitka characters out of the past, we are blessed with an incredible lot of folks who contributed in so many ways to making this community what it is today. Friday the 14th, oops, my clerical error, some here I eliminated Friday. Anyhow, the North Angel Dancers show is Friday. I'll go home and correct that immediately. And that's always a grand performance. If you've seen their half-an-hour shows during the summertime, come Friday night, you get selections from all of those shows. Really a grand time to celebrate our Russian heritage. This year we again have a number of National Guard soldiers coming in for training mission here. We also have a number of soldiers coming in with the regular Army from Anchorage and Fairbanks area. We're not sure yet what airplane's going to fly them here, but we expect the band and those soldiers to be here. On Saturday morning is the annual road race. You'll note that this is the 30th annual running of that race. The course has changed from time to time, but we always have a good turnout of community runners, and those who are guests are welcome to join in with that also. And that brings me to the point of thanking the U.S. Coast Guard for its many roles in the success of Alaska Day Festival. Commander Cameron, you've got a fine bunch
Thank you very much.
of officers and crew over there
We
who
look forward to this stuff.
contribute each year. And we Alaska Day Festival coordinators like to think that this is an opportunity for them to engage and increase their leadership abilities with their involvement in the community. Going on, we also have kayak races that morning on Swan Lake. We'll hope the weather is not too blustery. And you'll note many other events along the way. The Alaska Day Ball is Saturday evening with music by the Army Band. Sunday evening is their concert at Centennial Hall. The Army leads a memorial service, a very moving experience at Sitka National Cemetery. And then the parade, of course, on the afternoon, Monday afternoon, the 18th, and the transfer reenactment. We hope that you'll be able to take part, enjoy, contribute to each of those activities and the many others that are listed. Again, thank you.
Do we have any questions for Lane or Dusty? Norm?
When was the official first real Alaska Day celebration or commemoration of the 1867 date?
I'm told that it was 1949.
Okay. And it's been continuous since.
Yes. Sometimes not a lot of activity. I remember my first Alaska Day 52 years ago in Sitka, after I had moved here. About all that happened then, as I recall, was we had the ball the night before, and on the 18th, we reenacted the ceremony on Castle Hill, or lowered the Russian flag, raised the American flag. I think maybe there was always a parade, but it has broadened now into a much larger observance and community celebration.
Any other questions? Going once, going twice. Have a good afternoon. Go out and vote if you haven't voted.
Well, for those of you who don't know, I'm also a New Archangel dancer, so I'm wearing my Moldavian costume today. And we are going to have some ladies come and perform for you in just a few minutes and be part of the program. So just to show of hands, who here has not ever seen the New Archangels dancers perform yet? Wow. Moritz hasn't, and
Wow.
Kevin hasn't. But you've seen them, John?
Certainly
Wow,
have.
good job.
Twice.
Well, you two guys who haven't seen them yet, we'll get to see, we'll have a little snapshot today. We're going to do 2 dances for you. But we also want to talk to you a little bit more about some things that are happening with the group right now. Just a little background in history. Some of you, or many of you, have heard this story before, but I'm going to tell it again for those of you who might have forgotten it or who have never heard it. It was way back in 1969 when Karen Grusendorf and 3 of her friends who had a real passion for dancing got together and said, let's learn a bunch of dances from all over the world. And they thought that was a great idea, so they learned an Irish clogging dance, and then they got to Russia. And they had a little book, a children's Russian book, which was all in Russian, that described a dance in that book. And so they approached Bishop Theodosius, who was the priest at the Russian Orthodox Church at the time, and said, can you please interpret this for us and explain to us, exactly what it's saying? So of course he said, oh, I'd love to, anything to help preserve the Russian culture here in Sitka. In fact, he said, why don't you girls or you ladies just forget this whole international dance group idea and make it an all-Russian dance group to help preserve and promote the Russian history of Alaska, throughout Alaska. And they said, hey, great idea. So that's how we got formed. And that is in fact still our mission statement today, which is to preserve and promote the Russian history of Alaska through song and dance. Sort of as a secondary thing, you know, that's a wonderful mission statement, and we can all get excited about the history of Russia and Alaska. But really, I think the most value that this group brings to the participants of the group, at least, is just the friendship, the camaraderie, the chance for challenge and exercise. And for a lot of the ladies who are in our group presently, they really enjoy performing. So that's something that you'll have a chance to ask them when they, after they're done performing for you, is to ask them, well, why do you belong in this group? And we'll have them all kind of explain, you know, their personal story. We all come to it for different reasons. So one thing that's happening new this year, and there's a flyer on everybody's table, we're trying a new event. And this is part of, you know, preserving a culture in anywhere is to have a food aspect. So we've gotten lots of requests over the years, hey, how come there's no Russian food in Sitka? I think at some point in time there's been some borscht that was served at a restaurant and maybe a few other things. But we decided we wanted to do something called A Taste of Russia. And so we're actually going to kick that off here at Alaska Day this Sunday, right at the Harrigan Centennial Hall from 2 to 6 p.m. And we're going to have some really yummy little things called pelmenis. They're little meat dumplings, and they're just delectable. And we'll have lots of those things. We're also going to have some beet salad, which it's amazing. If you don't like beets, give this salad a chance, because it's made with real fresh beets, not canned beets, and it's shredded, so it's not like real chunky. But it's really wonderful, just the subtle flavors that come through with the other ingredients. And they'll have some carrot salad. We're going to have some assorted cookies, which, speaking of, I brought a few sort of cookies for you to sample. You can pass those around. This is a traditional Russian tea style cookie. Everyone gets excited when I say Russian tea because they think of those little Russian tea cake cookies, the round ones with the nuts in them. Unfortunately, those are not traditionally Russian. I'm not sure where they got their name, but you'll never find them in Russia or in any kind of Russian cookbook. So we're not going to have those. But we're going to have lots of other yummy things, including some black tea, coffee, some really dark rye Russian bread, and stuff like that. So it's going to be super yummy, and I encourage you all to come or send friends to that just to help us kind of sample it and check it out. If it's successful and we have enough energy, we hope to maybe offer it on occasion next summer to just the summer visitors. There's something else I was going to say about that. Samovars. So I learned something in doing some research about Russian tea. I've lived here for 16 years and I never quite fully understood the samovar. So we know it's a big Russian teapot, right? With a cylinder that goes down in the center of it that holds coal. Don't we have some Russian historian here or something? Not here right now. There's no Park Service people here. So really what that coal does is it sits in there all day long and heats up just water. Plain water is on the inside of this big giant teapot, right? You've all seen the pictures or you've seen it over at the museums and whatnot. Then there's a little teapot that sits on the top of this whole gizmo. And thanks to Jerry Christner and his wife Karen, they've loaned us theirs so we can have it on display there. We're not going to be using it because it's too old and you wouldn't really want to actually use it. We're just going to make tea the American way with hot water and brewing it in a tea bag. But this, traditionally, what they used to do is have like a little slurry, a really thick, rich tea in this little teapot. They just put a little bit in a teacup and then you would dilute it to the flavor or how strong you wanted your tea to be. And that's how they could serve tea then all day long. It's not like English tea where you have tea time at 2 o'clock or whatever time they have English tea. But in Russia, they just have a teapot on all day long so that tea is ready to go for whenever visitors stop by. And it's a very hospitable thing to do, is stop by, have some tea and a little cookie or some other kind of sort of savory treat. And that's how they welcome their friends. But see, it looks like all my performers are here right now, so we'll go ahead and do a couple dances for you. Then we'll have some questions for them, and we'll talk a little bit more about some of the other things that we're doing right now. So if someone can help me move some of this stuff out of the way. This guy here. You can have fun. Oh.
We can't eat in costume.
Yeah, Cindy sure did not eat her costume.
I didn't.
I try to behave. Stacy, I'll put it over here.
I want to say something.
Oh, yeah, this is, Brittany.
Yeah.
This, I can't keep her daughter's name straight. This is Brittany, our outgoing exchange student's mother, Chris Wilcox, and she did want to say something about Brittany real quick. Go
I
ahead.
did. I got to chat with her last night, which isn't very often. I've only chatted with her a couple of times because she's loving it over there. She's having a fantastic time. And I asked her what I should tell you if I got to tell you anything today. And she said, Thailand is awesome. Quote, you guys rock. Thank you for helping her on this incredible experience.
So we're going to do just two dances for you. The first one is called Troika Polka, and it's just a fun, very traditional Russian folk dance. And then the next one that we're going to do is called a Russian Finale, and it's a competition dance. So the ladies are going to be trying to outdo one another with their spins, and the gentlemen will try to outdo one another with their tricks. So in the tradition of folk dancing, does anyone know what the big tradition is in folk dancing for the audience? Clap along. So clap along, it really helps the performers, and it's much more fun for you too. Yeah. That'll help you. All right, so hopefully this. I don't know the sound level here. about language, troika simply refers to the number 3. So you saw we had 3 pairs of dancers, and actually that step they were doing where they were kind of going, it's called like a 1, 2, 3, that's actually called the troika step, because it's 1, 2, 3, 3. So there are a lot of dances in Russian folk dances that have the word troika in them, and have these sets of 3s. So it's kind of interesting. But now our Russian finale.
It's like a baseball team. We have to huddle first. What are you doing? What am I doing? What are you doing? Back it up. I'm not here to do it today. Compare it to me? Do it. Are you doing something?
stay up here, because I'm going to have them ask you questions, but I'm going to let you catch your breath for a second. I'm going to talk a little bit about the auditions. So we have auditions for new members to join our group, which we love new members, so we can keep performing. So we have a couple of times where in the evening we sort of teach some of the steps and get everybody up to speed, and then at the end they can decide, oh yeah, this is fun, I want to proceed, or not. And then also we can just see if they're, getting it. But most of the time, almost everybody gets it. So we have Monday, October 25th from 6:30 to 9 p.m. is the first, what we call a session date. These aren't mandatory. You can just come try out if you have some Russian folk dancing experience already. Or if you want to, if these dates don't work for you, you can always contact us and we'll try to work some other times one-on-one with you to help you kind of get the steps down so that you could come to the real tryout time. We also have Monday, October 1st from 6:30 to 9 p.m. And all of these practices are going to be at our Smith Street location, which is where our studio is.
November 1st.
November 1st?
Yeah.
The October 25th one is not?
No, it is. You said October 1st.
Oh, I'm sorry.
That's okay.
November 1st.
Just want to make
Thank
sure.
you.
Didn't think it already
No, that's
happened.
good because it's going to be on the thing. And then the next one is Monday, November 8th from 6:30 to 9 p.m. And then the final one is Monday, November 15th from 6:30 to 9 p.m. So again, if you can't make some of those dates but you're still interested in our group, just give us a call and we'll try to work something out with you. We do have some kind of requirements that you need to be between the age of 21 and 47, physically fit, able to wear our existing costumes, and commitment to attend practices and available for summer shows.
And a
Those
woman.
are all
And a
helpful.
woman. You need to be a woman.
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
I just thought
Sorry,
you knew
Dan.
that already.
Your neck wouldn't fit
A
this
woman.
costume.
So anyway, maybe we could take some time now and ask these ladies, what motivated you to try out, and what surprised you about the group maybe, and why do you stay in it? We'll start with Julie.
Awesome. I'm Julie Shano. I've been with the group for almost 2 years now, and a motivation, I would say I just moved here with Coast Guard, so I was just looking to get involved in the community, so that would be the motivation. What has surprised me about the group? Well, I really didn't anticipate making the friendships that I have. I've really enjoyed learning Russian folk dancing, which, who really thinks that they're going to get involved in something like that? I mean, I would call home and tell my family and friends that I was doing Russian folk dancing, and they were like, what? Why would you do that? But I've had, an absolute blast, and I think my favorite part of it is just being a part of a group of women that I really admire.
My name's Angela McGraw, and I tried out in 2003. And for me, it was about timing. I tried out the year before, and I couldn't fit in even one day of auditions, so I knew I wasn't going to fulfill the commitment. I waited a year, and it was perfect timing for me the next year. And I was surprised by how much I loved it. My friend Susan really encouraged me to try out, and I thought, oh, okay, I'll give it a try. And then once I got in the group, I love the friendships, like Julie said, the exercise, and then I surprised myself in the fact that I love to perform. So I love performing all summer for the crowds. It's really fun, and it's different for everyone. Some people don't prefer that, but I found that I do, so yeah.
I'm Stacy Woolsey, and I've been in the group, really somewhere between 10 and 15 years. I don't know the number, somewhere in there. And I tried out because Sarah, who was the librarian at the high school at that time, now she's the librarian at the Kettleston, she encouraged me. She was in the group. And what really surprised me about the group is I was an athlete, sort of outdoorsy person. I never had done any dancing or had ever been accused of being graceful in any way. And so I really kind of resisted her overtures to have me try out. But when I came in and started doing it, I realized that Russian folk dance is very athletic, and it's a high energy, and it's a great workout, and I had enough rhythm from, I used to play tuba in high school, I think that's where my rhythm came from, but I had enough rhythm to be able to do it, just barely, and I really have enjoyed the dancing, and I've really enjoyed the cross-section of people in Russian dancers, because there's just people from, the Coast Guard, people from all over the community that I would never have met Julie, who I adore, if I hadn't been in this group. So it's so nice to be exposed to so many different people in this group, and I really encourage people to try out. It's a lot of fun.
Okay, my name's Linda Spierstra. I've been in the group for about 15 years. I'm sort of cut from the same cloth as Stacy in the sense that I was drugged to tryouts by Patty Scanis. I don't know if any of you know Patty, but she's a little petite pixie that it's hard to say no to. I did for about 5 years, and then finally I'm like, okay. So I go and I try out, and I'm like, wow, this is exciting. It's challenging. It's fun. You're learning something new. It's aerobic. And so there's my story. That's all she wrote. I love it. I'll be here till I retire at 50.
What surprised you about the group? That it was like aerobic, or?
What surprised me was how everybody worked together to try to get people on stage, to get them performance ready, to take that extra, weekends or evenings to really help you get it. I mean, if you had the time, they would put it in for you to be able to perform, which is, the ideal goal is to be performing. So the time commitment that people put in just to help you out, I thought was surprising.
Great.
Wonderful.
Thanks.
I'm Chris Wilcox. I found out about the group online when we were considering moving up here, and I thought, women dancing, and I was excited to try out, so I tried out as soon as I could when we got up here, and I've loved it immensely. I've been just thrilled with the friendships I've made, and the thing that surprised me was the depth of the group. I thought, okay, we come up, we learn to dance, we dance. And I had no idea what happened beyond that. And every year, it just amazed me, the depth, the level of the understanding of the women who started the group 40 years ago, that we can continue and do it in such a well-organized, fun fashion.
I'm Susan Suarez, and I started the group about 15, 16 years ago. And I was actually surprised I joined the group because my mom was a dancer. And I remember listening to my mom practice and practice and practice. It used to drive me nuts, hearing like Tricka-Polka over and over and over again. And I swore I would never be a Russian dancer. And 16 years into the group, I'm like, wow, I've been a Russian dancer. So I never would have thought I would have done this because of that. But I'm really happy to have the opportunity to be with the dancers. And I've really enjoyed, pretty much, get to be at the end, the friendships, the people that you socialize with that you would never socialize with is really, really awesome. And just the bonding in this group is amazing. I mean, when someone gets pregnant to there's something happening in their family, this group joins together, and it's an amazing network of women. And I think we should all feel very fortunate that we have that in the community. We really pulled together with that. And every once in a while we get a chance to travel, and that's fun to perform, and it's all great. It's just so much about it. I mean, you just could make a long list of things why, and I guess that's why I'm still on it. So
Great, thanks. And I'm Cindy, you know me, and I started in 1998. And the reason I started is a friend asked me, she doesn't live here anymore, Karen Mayer. And originally I started because I was working in an office all by myself, and I really missed sort of, talking to other women. And it gave me a chance to have that kind of camaraderie. And I also liked the physicality of it, just the exercise itself. But probably for the first 3 years, I really contemplated quitting because I just had 2 left feet. And it was really difficult for me to really feel like I was bringing anything to the group. But I just kept at it, and something that had a big impact on me is occasionally we will bring a dance director from out of town to have like a really intensive week with us, and this might be a professional dance director, So somebody that has like a job in a big city where they just teach Russian folk dances to groups. And so we had a woman named Natasha come and teach us a couple of dances and really work on some form. And that was a turning point for me, where I was really like, oh, I get it now. And it really clicked. And after that, I was able to have more confidence and really feel like I was a more valuable member of the group. And probably one of the reasons why I stay is the camaraderie. Just all the people that you see here. I only get to see them once a week usually, because we don't just, it's not someone, these people aren't people that I run across to on my day-to-day life. And also the challenge. So it's still challenging for me to learn new dances, and even though I've been doing it for 12 years, but I like to be challenged in my life, and so I find that's a good way for me to kind of keep that sort of energy in my world. So, and something that's also, I also like unique things, and I think it's a kind of a unique group, and that it's a huge, tremendous value for the community of Sitka. It's a place for women to go and be together, just women, and also get a lot of self-esteem and a lot of good support and feedback that way. And something I found out recently, we get a lot of people tell us how great we are and how wonderful we are, especially off of the cruise ships, and how they've been to Russia, and I could never quite understand. I was like, oh, it's impossible for us to be better than like these other performers that they've seen in Russia and whatnot. But then someone reminded me, well, we do about, give or take, I don't know how many performances we did this summer, but probably over 150 performances. And most groups don't have that kind of opportunity. They might have 3 or 4 times a year where they do like a special performance for an audience, and the rest of the year they're just practicing. So we also not just, we don't just practice all year round, but we get to perform all summer long. And so that brings, I think, another level to our group that makes us more unique and more sought after. And so that's why we do get invited to places around the world actually to perform. And so that's really exciting for us to be a part of that, to represent not just the state of Alaska, but the city of Sitka, and just let them know how great we are. I mean, not us, but the town. Although we're good too. So we also have just some kind of general information pamphlets here if you wanted to take one. If you're planning a conference or some sort of an event and you would like us to come and perform, please submit a request. Let us know. You can go online, I believe, and submit a request. We love to perform, as you could see, and so we're always looking for opportunities to do that. We're going to be performing at the Alaska Day during the, in our traditional Alaska Day tea at the Pioneer Home after the parade. But the big one is what we call our big show, because mostly in the summertime we have a half-an-hour show where we do 3 dances, and then there's a halftime, and then we do 3 more, so 6 total. But this Friday night, October the 15th, starting at 7 p.m. at the Harrigan Centennial Hall, we're going to be doing, is it 19? I think so.
we haven't counted, it's a lot of dances, 19 dances. So we're going to have a huge variety of not just Russian dances, but a few Moldavian dances, a gypsy dance. We're going to do our traditional gliding. We'll have the horses there for the kids with, you know, the special treat that they leave behind when they leave the stage for your kids. They love that stuff. The Ukrainian dances. So it's really a colorful show. There's a huge variety, and it's going to be a lot of high energy. We just had our dress rehearsal last night. It went great. So we're really excited about this Friday show. You can get tickets at the Centennial Building Alaska Day, you know, booth that they have there right now at the Centennial Building. I think it's $5 for adults, and how much for kids? $3 for kids. So it's a really affordable night out. It's going to be a lot of fun. So yeah, we're ready for your questions. Yeah, Shannon.
I was wondering with this huge decline in the cruise ship traffic, I mean, are you guys still able to like afford your costumes and your building, and how's that affected you, and has there been a bright side? Is a less busy schedule for for any of you, a working main schedule? Just seems like you have one show after another during the summer, and
Well, the decline in passengers and cruise ships in general, I think, has affected every business in town, and us specifically. We're a nonprofit and we're all volunteers. So for us, the impact isn't as significant as it would be to lay off your employees. So we have found some creative ways to conserve our funds and are just hanging on until things are on the upswing, which we hear will be in 2012.
Debbie?
Does everybody learn the male and the female parts of the dance, or are you each just one or the other?
Yes. Let's see.
Most of us, you always start with either doing just the male parts or just the female parts in your first couple of years of learning. That's, you just stick with that. And then if you feel like you want more challenge, or sometimes, you know, for different reasons, people decide to take on and learn the other side as well. But that's certainly, I've never learned any of the male side in all my many years here, so that wasn't something that interested me or my niece. So it just depends on what you know, what you want to do.
We have a few dances, though, that are all girl or like all females, like our gliding dance. We have a dance called Ribbon, a few of these sort of circle lady dances like Bielolitsa, Krugolitsa, and those are performed by everybody in the group, so everyone learns those. And then horse, which I would call sort of a guy's dance, you know, you wear boots and you wear a hat and a beard, that's performed by everyone in the group.
I forgot the horse.
There's only one all boy other than that, and Ash.
Yeah, Ash is the other one.
That's a good question.
Yeah, there's a few other all-boy dances that not all the girls learn, that's true. Yeah, Tam?
Cindy, how many total dancers do you guys have in your group, and how many different costumes do you guys have?
How many dancers do we have?
About 30. We have about 30 dancers right now active.
We counted how many there have been over the years recently. It is a lot less than I would have, it was only like 280.
224.
224 in 40 some years.
40 years.
Yeah.
But I think we have a lot of longevity too.
41.
People have been in for a long time.
Yeah.
We have an active retired group too.
Costumes.
How many costumes?
Oh, I honestly can't say how many costumes we have. We have a lot. And we actually have some that we've retired over the years. And then as a group, 99% of the time we make our own costumes. So we get the ideas from the dancers that come in, the choreographers, and they say this would be a good idea, and then we make our costumes to fit the dance if they do. So I mean, some things we can't, like headscarves, you know, some things, but yeah.
We have a room about the size of this room at our dance studio just for our costumes, to take care of them, sort them, and keep them clean and orderly and repaired. And we always have a list and parties going to try and help fix them up or repair them or create new aspects to them. And kind of interesting part of our history, the first year they performed, they just did 4 performances, so they had to get a costume. Well, they just went to the ethnic section of the JCPenney catalog and ordered something from there, and they performed in go-go boots. Which we still have the go-go boots.
Pair, yeah.
Okay, we're gonna have to like put them on the wall or something, bronze them. Bronze them. So, and then, you know, over the years when we travel, like they gotten some material in the garment district in New York for those winter gliding costumes that you see that are real popular. They're gorgeous blue velvet with like a silver embroidered flower on them. And then recently we had a trip out of town, and they didn't you guys
Garment District
in Los Angeles, and try to look for uniquely Russian costumes there, or materials to make things. Great.
Thanks for coming, guys.
Thank you. Don't forget Friday and Sunday.
If anybody needs rose sale, I have yellow order forms. You may need some more of them.
Oh, have cookies, you guys.
Hi, I'm Jenny Garth. As parents, I'm sure we all remember our child's first tooth, or that priceless smile after a visit from the tooth fairy. Those are special times in our kids' lives, and as a mother, I want to see those smiles last a lifetime. That's why I've teamed up with the American Association of Orthodontists. Together, we are shining a light on the importance of a healthy, beautiful smile. We all want to look and feel our best, and an attractive smile plays a huge role in our self-esteem. And while it's never too late to see an orthodontist, getting your child an orthodontic checkup early in life can make a huge difference during those teen years and in the decades to follow. Orthodontists create beautiful smiles by straightening teeth and jaws so that they are healthy and work properly. And if braces are recommended, today's hipper, sleeker models allow kids to sport their own personal style while in treatment. To learn more about how you can help your child achieve a healthy, beautiful smile, visit braces.org.
And have a good time with your friends and neighbors here tonight. Leading off our program is a barbershop quartet. They are now in their third year of singing together, and these fellows are a delight anytime we have a chance to hear them. Notice their attire this evening. We understand this is the first time they have worn this particular clothing arrangement. The Breakers.
Would everyone please rise for your state song?
Alaska, Alaska, may your flag wave free, wave free. 8 stars of gold on a field of blue, Alaska's flag, may it mean to you the blue of the sea, the evening sky, the mountain lakes and the flowers nearby, the gold of the early sourdough's dreams, the precious gold of the hills and streams, the brilliant stars in the northern sky, the bear, the dipper, and shining high, the great North Star with its steady light, o'er land and sea, a beacon bright, Alaska's flag to Alaskans dear, the simple flag of the last frontier, the simple flag of the last frontier. We will see you at the Melodrama, where we'll be singing each night.
Hank Moore, Steve Grant, Ray Majeski, and Dave Turka, thank you very much. And now we welcome to the stage representatives of Sitka Elks Lodge number 1662, Benevolent and Protective Order of Elks. And we invite the ladies with bonnets tonight. Come on up.
Go, get you one.
Sure.
Come on, ladies.
Come on, darling.
It's a snood. Yes. Snood up here. Yes, Betty. These are where those they break.
And please, ladies, display your finery there. Step forward so the light is on you. So Julie Smith and Lisa Langenfeld are judging tonight. They represent the exalted ruler of our local Elks Lodge, John Blankenship, who is not able to be here, but he has delegated this fascinating task to these two Elks members, and they're going to interview our models.
Well, we want to take this opportunity to let everybody tell us their name and then what inspired them to do their bonnet, or what's the meaning behind their bonnet.
Isn't that funny? I am the widow Proudheart, and I'm down here from Alaska Owl's Saloon up in the snowy, dark part of Alaska. And it's a snood, not a bonnet, but I just like being on stage.
Nice, good answer.
I made her do it. You'd be here too if you had a bonnet. She wouldn't. I'm Betty, and my bonnet is new bonnet this year. And this was actually made from parts and pieces here in Sitka at a bonnet class I took at UAS that they had just about 2-3 weeks ago. And it's a Juliet hat form and things and stuff and a hot glue gun.
Nice.
This is my bonnet.
Sandra Burgess, and I made my bonnet at UAS. This is called a spoon bonnet. And yeah, it's made out of everything local.
Thank you. Sharon Barrett. I'm kind of a day attire, but I had a nice neighbor make my bonnet or have my bonnet for me.
Thank you. Hi, I'm Kaylee Green, and this is just a very simple day bonnet. Made it myself.
Thank you. Ellen Cunningham, and just a simple day bonnet that I made.
All right.
Well, we'll take a minute and we'll judge them and let you know.
While the judges are pondering, perhaps you could turn slowly so our audience can see the back of your creation.
Like hiding the waistband. No? No. You can't hide from anything anymore. I never can. I love your cape. It's gorgeous.
Elaine is also a collection of bonnets over at the showcase in the library.
Please, Helen, tell us about that display.
Well, it's just over there. If you want to look at more bonnets, there's some in the display case over at the library. A collection of bonnets for Alaska Day. Some of them are past winners.
The dead raccoon is home in a box. I should bring it there. I remember that one. Yeah, the dead raccoon just a couple years ago. Yeah, that was Betsy Otterkirk's hat. It was a dead raccoon. It was cool.
Betsy Otterkirk's hat.
We had two hats. We had a dead raccoon and a dead bird. The dead bird lost a wing, but the raccoon's in good shape. Okay. Geez. It's warm under these lights. Not happening.
I did that for 7 years. Come Friday night, you'll see a lot of dancing.
Yes, there you go. I like that all our bonnets are very different styles. Yeah, we have what, 3 day bonnets? Well, 4 really. And a working snood. A working snood. The dress spoon hat. Yeah.
I have a lot more ostrich feathers. I had to buy the whole duster to get it.
Did you really? The whole feather duster? Wow, goodness.
They didn't sell 3 feathers at a time.
Go to an ostrich farm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So if you need feathers, call me.
Well, with the invention of the Swifter, there's probably all kinds of feather dusters available now.
I know where there's a pink one. It's in an office, in a vase.
I think you should make a monument out of it.
Yeah, it's pretty ready. Although,
You're very creative. I bet you can make it very pretty.
maybe so, you never know. There's a lot of good beers. Here they come, hopefully.
Really not a tough decision.
Come on in, the water's fine.
What is the blue bonnet called? I didn't hear what you said. It's called a spoon bonnet.
Spoon
For a
bonnet.
spooning.
I think you fellas out there, you might be spooning.
It's more for formal wear than daytime wear.
But it looks very stunning.
It's my favorite color.
Sunday afternoon carriage ride.
What?
Yeah.
Sunday afternoon carriage.
The carriage ride, yes, yes.
Are there any other questions from the audience?
Yes, does anybody have questions about our bonnets?
Yeah.
Feel free to ask.
Feel free.
All it takes is a blue bonnet.
I guess we've been most informative.
We must have.
Oh, yes. My entire outfit except for my shawl came out of white.
Yes, most informative. Yes.
Did you make yours too for the college?
I did actually.
Parts?
We bought parts and we were shown basically how to assemble the parts. I kind of had an idea of what I wanted, but I wasn't really sure what it was going to look like. And I picked my colors and went with it. And it worked out really well. And it's actually really well made for being glued together. It's amazing. I mean, it's lined on the inside, lined on the outside. It's got little thingies to hook into your hair, and yeah.
There were about 10 of us in the class.
Yeah.
And there were 3 different types of bonnets, and we learned the history of each one. Why aren't the other 8 here?
Yeah, no, we tried. I did. I tried. But this is a Juliet. It's what this is called. You often see them in weddings. They're like a little teardrop. And then hers is a spoon bonnet, and it's made from a large straw hat. And then the other one was the top hats, which you've seen before. And Gail Hammonds was the instructor.
I think we're ready for the drum roll.
I think we're ready for the drum roll.
I'm just drum rolls.
Come on, Lisa.
I think we finally decided. It was very hard, but we have different categories for each one. We're going to do the Best Alaska Day Theme Bonnet, which is celebrating Sacred Gown. Is going to go to Sharon. So if you could step forward. Julie's got a prize and a flower for you.
Sharon, go ahead.
The fanciest bonnet is going to go to Sandra.
Yes. You've cashed your money.
The most intricate bonnet goes to Betty. Sorry.
Sweet.
The most unusual bonnet, because she came from an unusual place, goes to Tracy. The best overall bonnet goes to